Alright, as a new Clemson student, I am required to do a video blog of the new student dialogue session that I attended, I think it was about a month ago or something. And this dialogue was on peer pressure, which, interestingly enough, happens. True story. And it's supposed to be a dialogue, of course. And we laid some ground rules early in the session, and I just like to take a few minutes, if you will, to read them. A few of them that I thought were interesting. True dialogue is achieved when its participants have a certain mindset. The following norms will help us to develop that mindset as a group, and that's good so we know house rules so people can't get hustled, and break the rules. They know, nobody's gonna lose a fortune, because their emotions were hurt, something like that, Alright, we recognize that our primary commitment is to learn from each other, from materials such as this, and from our experience, which some people really don't have any at all, unfortunately. Just like bumble around through life doing nothing. Truly isn't important, it's kind of like bullying if you call people out on that, I guess. We acknowledge differences amongst us in skills, interests, values, scholarly orientations, and experience, which is certainly true. Some people have valuable skills which get them jobs. It's their civic duty, of course, to get skills and get a job, not be a lazy bum, That's important too. We also acknowledge that racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, and other forms of discrimination such as religion, age, ability, language, education, etc. exist and may surface time to time, which is of course true, and for the sake of being polite in this dialogue, we will avoid that at all costs, more or less. We will do our best not to blame people for the misfortune we have learned, but we hold each other responsible for repeating misinformation or offensive behavior after we have learned otherwise, which is of course very true, because if someone is ignorant, you have to teach them, and if they are willingly ignorant, then that's where the problem arises. We will trust that people are always doing the best they can, both to learn from others and to behave in productive ways. We of course know this is a load of BS, because people do what they want to do, and they only do it because they want to do it. How they want to do it differs, and they can be coerced into wanting to do it because they don't want the consequences of not doing it, so they want to do it to avoid the consequences. Such as, say, this is a pass-fail course, and if I don't do this video blog, I'm gonna fail. See, I want to do it so I don't fail. I don't want to do it because I want to do it on my own accord. Exactly, my point there. Yeah. Alright. Dialogue also calls for certain actions from its participants. These norms describe the actions that make dialogue possible. We will listen actively to one another. We acknowledge that everyone has an equal valid voice in our dialogue, which is of course true at the beginning until you actually start hearing people talk, and then it's not so true anymore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We will actively pursue opportunities to learn about our own groups and those of others, yet not enter or invade others' privacy when unwanted, which is, of course, a very good rule, because we don't know what we're dealing with, and until we know the interests of others, we cannot actively manipulate them into doing what we want. which is of course how the world works and how you handle people, which is how people become billionaires. They really don't have a clue in what they're doing. It's because they know how to handle people. And these rules teach you how to handle people quite well if you follow them and practice them actively. Alright, down to actual talking about the stuff. Do I feel my group achieved true dialogue? I don't know about that, because true dialogue is achieved when its participants have a certain mindset, and I think that mindset was to hear everyone out and just, get ideas out there, which I think we did. We were all pretty certain about how we felt about peer pressure, except some people, which are recluses, or just don't have anything to say at all, or they prefer not to speak because they know nobody wants to hear them anyway. It could be. Or they could be peer pressured into not saying anything, which is quite ironic. Yep. Were there active voices in your dialogue? I'm going to say there were active voices because they couldn't be passive. Some people spoke a lot because sometimes they like to hear their own voice, I feel. Sometimes they have really good points. Or sometimes, they just want to answer all the questions. I don't know. I was there for an hour. I don't know those people. See him again, I would never speak to him. Ever, really. It's quite pointless. Were there more reserved voices in your dialogue? Of course, some people didn't speak at all. And they can always use an excuse. They were peer pressured into talking and wouldn't talk at all. So I see that problem, sort of. What role did you play in your group? I played the badass. Yeah. Like, hear that? Hear that? Yep. It's Jolly Rancher rapper. See, friend Ryan, he does a great Jolly Rancher, like unwrapping interpretation, and we watched the new Bonu Skyfall yesterday, and he made this great little impression of that, and yeah, it was pretty funny. He did a good job. Found that Ryan Filber, he the man. Well, yeah, I was sort of yep. Instead of it's always important to remember the group dynamics of certain situations and to think logically before you actually make a decision that impacts the rest of your life. Sometimes peer pressure can be good or bad, which is why you need to know and think it out before you decide anything. You're just an idiot if you oh, I'm an idiot, I'm gonna jump off this bridge or some shit like that. I don't know. Don't look at me, I don't do that kind of crap. Alright, I actually think out my stuff. Humans are obviously not logical. They can't think straight. Most of the time they're emotional beings. And, if you're reacting to this video, I don't know, what this guy is talking about. Yeah, if you're one of those people, I don't know, I'm doing this because it's pass fail, and I don't want to fail. And, yeah. Alright. Why do you think dialogue is a component of Lib 100? Because they wanted to add in some extra something, another assignment in there to make us to do. It's fairly helpful for some people, but not always. It's about time to go. We got 15 seconds. It's very useful. I learned so much. I can't believe how much I learned. It was so helpful. I would do it again in a minute if I could. It's that helpful.